rigid objects in equilibrium problem, the ladder problem. So imagine that you have a ladder and there's no person on it, and some people do have ladders and they lean them up against things and they climb up the ladder. Very important. This ladder, although, is leaning up against a wall of ice, so there's no friction. Why? Just because it makes it a little bit easier. If you add friction on the wall, harder. So the question is, what's the minimum coefficient of friction for the ground so that the ladder doesn't slip and fall? Because slipping and falling would be bad. Okay, so I actually gave some numbers here because I know everybody likes numbers. We'll put the numbers in at the end. It's a 3-meter long ladder, 10 kilograms. I know that's a little heavy, but it's pick. And then it's at a 35-degree angle. So remember that if we have a rigid object in equilibrium, there are 3 conditions for equilibrium. So the 3 conditions that must be met: the net force in the x direction has to be 0. And that was from our chapter 1 on forces. The net force in the y direction is also 0. It doesn't accelerate this way. It doesn't accelerate that way. Equilibrium. And then finally, the net torque about any point that we pick is 0. So those are our 3 conditions. We want to write down those 3 conditions and find out what's going on. So I'm going to start off, and I'm going to use this diagram right here. I'm going to create a force diagram. I'm going to remove the L just so it doesn't get in the way. So what forces are acting on the ladder, and where are those forces? That's important, right? When we talk about rigid objects, the location that the force is applied is important. So the first thing that we have that people think about is the gravitational force. There is a gravitational force on the ladder, and it pulls on all parts of the ladder. However, we can model this gravitational force on all parts of the ladder as acting at just one point. And that one point is the center of mass, which happens to be the center of the ladder since we have a uniform ladder. So it's right here, mg, the gravitational force. What else is, what's touching the ladder? Well, I have the wall up here is touching the ladder. Now, since it's friction, it's frictionless, it's going to be a normal force. So it's going to be perpendicular to the wall, and that means it would have to be this way. I'm going to call this force N1 because I wrote it down first. Well, the floor is pushing on it too. So the floor pushes up, and that force will be called N2. Different normal force. Again, perpendicular to the floor is up for this one. Perpendicular to the wall is to the right. You can see that already if I try to do F net x, I have a force in the x direction N1, and there's no other forces here. So if this was just ice right there, the center of mass would accelerate that way, which we call slipping. Okay, so we don't want that. So there is another force. I'm going to actually put it right here, F friction. Now the question is, we need to start filling in our equations right here. So we have our force diagram. We're going to do these two, and then we're going to have to pick a point here about what to calculate the torque. So let's go ahead and do the net force. In the x direction, it's pretty easy. I have N1, that's the magnitude of the normal force. In the x direction is just N1, and the friction force is in the negative x direction minus the force of friction, and that equals 0. In the y direction, I have N2, and then I have the gravitational force minus mg equals 0. Now for the torque, there's no wrong place to pick, okay? But we can pick a place that makes our life a little bit easier. Let's go ahead. I think I'm going to pick the point to calculate the torque is up here. And it may be wrong, okay? I didn't work this problem beforehand. We're going to work through it no matter what. Because where you pick the point, if you have a force applied at that point, there's no torque. So this normal force is not going to make any torque. And you may think, well, what if you pick down here? That's a good point too, because then you're going to have 2 forces that have no torque. If I pick 2 forces with no torque, then I think it's going to work. No, I think I'm going to pick down here. You do it both ways for practice. So I'm going to pick that as point O. Now remember, we define torque as RF sine theta, or R perpendicular F, or R perpendicular F, or RF perpendicular. So this is the perpendicular distance to F, and this is the perpendicular component to R. They're all the same. So let's go ahead and calculate the torque due to these two forces have a zero torque, right? Because they have a zero R. R is zero. Now for this one, its torque, I'm going to use F, which is going to be mg. And then I'm going to use the perpendicular distance. So here's my line, and that's the distance perpendicular to that. Because this distance right here is L over 2. And that's the angle theta. So this is going to be L over 2 cosine theta. Now, is it going to be positive or negative torque? We said that if it wants to make it rotate counterclockwise, it'll be positive. Yeah, I'm using the right-hand rule because it is a right-hand rule. So this is going to be a positive torque. It's going to be L over 2 cosine theta. Now for this one up here, it's going to be a negative torque because it would make it rotate clockwise. And I'm again going to use its perpendicular arm, which is this side right here, right? Because that's the same as this. So this distance is going to be L over 2 L sine theta. So I'm going to get minus N1 L sine theta. So now I have three equations. Just as think though, how many things do I not know? I don't know N1. I don't know F. I don't know N2. I know M and G. I know L. I know theta. I don't know N1. So I have 1, 2, 3 equations that I don't know. I can use that to solve for F. Let's go ahead and do that. So up here, I get the frictional force, and we're talking about the minimum frictional force, or the maximum coefficient of friction, is equal to N1. That's pretty easy. Now, I also need to know N1 in terms, I need to get this in terms of M, L, and G, and theta. So we can solve this for N2. N2 is equal to mg. And now let's just rewrite this equation with everything we know. I know 0 is mg L over 2 cosine theta minus N1, which is going to be the frictional force, times L, frictional force, L sine theta. Now I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and solve this for the frictional force, because I know everything in here but F. And then I can say the frictional force, I'll put it over here, the frictional force is going to be equal to mu s times N2. Right? That's how we define friction. Static friction is less than or equal to that. But we want to find the minimum coefficient, so we're going to be at the maximum. We're going to be at equal to that. So I know N2. If I find an expression for F, I can be all set. So let's just add this to the other side. I get frictional force, L sine theta is mg L over 2 cosine theta. Check that out. The L's cancel. The sines don't. Divide both side by sine. F friction is going to be m cosine theta over 2 sine theta. And now I can put that in here. I can put in the mg. So I get m cosine theta. No, there is a g. Cosine theta 2 sine theta, that's my friction, is going to be equal to mu s times N2, which is mg. So now I can solve for mu s, and I just divide both sides by mg, but it cancels. So I get the coefficient of friction, the minimum coefficient of friction is going to be equal to cosine theta over 2 sine theta. Now, some important things to note here. Does this have the right units? Well, the coefficient of friction is a unitless quantity. Cosine theta is a unitless quantity. Sine theta, unitless quantity. So I get unitless, unitless, unitless. That's good. Notice that this does not depend on the mass of the ladder. This does not depend on the gravitational field. This does not depend on the length of the ladder. So if you take a smaller ladder and move it right here at the same angle, you would have the same amount of friction that you would need. Yes, if you have a heavier ladder, you're going to get a greater normal force and a greater frictional force, but that's what that coefficient of friction is for. So let's just plug in our value for theta, which is, I picked 35 degrees. I mean, that's the answer, but I know you want a number. So I'm going to say, I can't see. 35 cosine 2 divided by 35 sine divided by. And I get 0.71. That's the minimum coefficient of friction to prevent that from falling. Now, what if, just think about this, what if I have a ladder that's more like this? You don't want to have a ladder like that. You want theta to be much larger. As you increase theta, cosine theta gets larger and sine theta gets, let's see, let's just double it. Let's put 70. So I put 70 times cosine 2 divided by 70 times 70 of sine divided by, I get 0.18. So I don't need as much friction if I have it at a much steeper angle. That's why you normally do that. You wouldn't normally put the ladder like that. But this is just a physics problem, so we can do whatever we want. And that's an example of torque and equilibrium for a rigid object at the end.